Good afternoon. This is the afternoon shift. It is Friday, February 6th. I'm Adam Lorenz, and we are coming on to you right now with some potential breaking news that's happening at the Whipple building. We wanted to make you all aware. U.S. representatives, all of them Democrats, all of them from the state of Minnesota, Angie Craig, Betty McCollum, and Kelly Morrison are conducting an oversight visit at the Whipple building as we speak. There is a podium that's set outside the Whipple building, and we're waiting for those representatives to come outside the building. And when they do, and they address the media, we will be bringing that to you at any moment. There, Paul, there you see the podium setup that they've got there.
We do. The podium is there. Thanks to Scott, one of our photojournalists that's out there. He is sending that shot back for us. So we are keeping an eye on that. When I see any of those representatives come out of the building, we will go to that. I'll get us there as quick as I can. So I'm just watching that out of the corner of my eye. So you'll have to forgive me if I seem a little distracted.
Yes. Of course, the Whipple building kind of at the center of a lot of the ICE protests that have been happening there. It's sort of been a focal point for ICE and other federal agencies to bring people in and transfer people and bring people out. And of course, this week there's been a lot of stories that have come out about the conditions inside the Whipple building, and that's what I suspect these three Congress lawmakers, again, U.S. Representative Angie Craig, Betty McCollum, and Kelly Morrison, all of them DFLers, all of them from the state of Minnesota, currently inside that Whipple building as we speak, and we do expect that they're going to address the media when they come out of there. And of course, this is an oversight visit, so I assume that they're going in there looking at the conditions that are inside the Whipple building.
Now, to be fully transparent, this is something that we know that they have to leave. They have a hard out at 3:30, so we don't know when exactly they're going to finish the tour, and if they are going to have time to make comment. I imagine that they are going to take that opportunity to speak and kind of relay what they're seeing inside there. It was only earlier this week we heard testimony of what it was like of someone that was detained inside the Whipple building. Sounds like pretty horrific conditions. We're hearing anecdotally as well, people that have managed to be in there in some capacity that, you know, the questions about whether this building was built with enough with this in mind. Was it ever intended to host this many people, to be able to process this amount of people? So it'll be interesting to hear what these local Congress people have to say about what they're seeing on the inside of the Whipple building, which again is a building, maybe I'm ignorant, I had never heard of before any of this ICE stuff at Metro Surge had taken place here in Minnesota.
I feel like most of us hadn't heard of it. It's a very nondescript, discreet building located right next to MSP Airport. It's a building that maybe if you've kind of gone to and from the airport, you pass by hundreds of times and not ever stopped and noticed exactly what it is. And I think you're right, Paul, and I think a lot of our viewers probably feel the exact same way that you do. They had never even heard of the Whipple building until 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that, when kind of all of this, the ICE surge and obviously the shooting of Renee Good on January 7th, once those events started taking place, that's when you really started to hear the Whipple building, and it really did become sort of a mecca, if you will, of a protest that have been happening here in the Twin Cities.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have been hearing, you know, just from the Democrats as well, is the order in which everything has taken place with this too. You know, that we're in the throes of this Metro Surge, we're in the throes of everything, and now we're assessing whether this is the right facility and whether this is appropriate and whether the conditions are there. Lots of arguments that this maybe should have been done before Metro Surge had happened. So, you know, we have to deal and play with the cards we're dealt, as they say, and so we're in this now, and at least this oversight tour is taking place for these Congress people to be able to, representatives to be able to report back to the public who don't have access to this building about what is actually going down inside that building. So
that's right.
Really interested to hear what they have to say.
That's right. And as soon as they get to the podium, we will be bringing that to you. Let's set up the rest of today's show as it's planned right now, I should say. At 3:10, we've got a little bit of a Super Bowl 60 primer, a live report from San Francisco coming our way. We're really excited about the Super Bowl happening this Sunday. Then after that, state versus federal agencies in the law as it pertains to both the Good and Preddy cases. We have an attorney coming on talking about President Trump. Earlier this week, he kind of walked back some of his previous statements, saying that the Preddy and the Good shooting should have never have happened. We're going to be asking an attorney what are the legal ramifications of those statements. Then after that, St. Paul native, 5-time Olympian, and 41-year-old Lindsey Vonn completely tore her ACL just a few days ago. She just completed a downhill training run in Italy earlier this morning. She is set to compete in her 5th Olympics, looking for her 2nd career gold medal. We're going to be talking to an orthopedic surgeon all about the ACL and everything. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, nothing pressing, nothing breaking.
Oh.
I just wanted to get in case you are watching us on connected television or on your laptop. Would highly recommend you having a look at doing a quick Google to see Lindsey Vonn doing her training ahead of the Olympic opening ceremony tonight, doing squats. More impressive squats than me with 2 perfectly intact ACLs are capable of, I might add. Knowing that she has a ruptured ACL right now in these, it's an incredible sight to see. So we unfortunately can't bring you that footage, but you can do your own research and go out there and find that. A quick Google will do the job, but make sure you come back so that you can actually hear the conversation about what it is to rupture your ACL, what even your ACL is. I mean, we hear it all the time in sport. I feel like it's one of those things that you hear so much about that it kind of washes over you. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited. I mean, I know there are people out there that know all of this stuff, but I am certainly not one of them. So I'm excited to kind of get into what the ACL is, what it even stands for. I'm assuming the L stands for ligament.
Sure.
You, I bet, have done your research, but I certainly haven't coming into this one. So I'm excited to hear about it and what it means to rupture it versus to tear it, and whether or not Lindsey, should be doing this. Is a gold medal enough to completely risk your ACL for the rest of your life? I don't know.
And a 41-year-old on top of all of that, too.
There's a lot. Hey, let's not to worry about
I don't want to be ageist.
40s, all right?
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, the question is what damage could she do more than what she already has? And if that's going to have an impact for her as she gets into later life. I mean, I don't know if a gold medal is particularly worth not being able to walk when you hit 60. Who knows?
We'll see. I'm excited to talk to the orthopedic surgeon, just like you are. That's coming up at 3:45 if you're getting your calendar all straight there. Then right after that, William Sawalich. He's probably a name that you've heard of if you've loved NASCAR. We've got a bunch of NASCAR races on Fox. The Daytona 500 on Fox 9 coming up next Sunday. William Sawalich is from Eden Prairie. He's 19 years old. His father, Brandon, will be joining me live in studio to talk all about William's career. William's number one sponsor is Starkey. His father is the president and CEO of Starkey as well. So I'm going to ask him how big of a difficulty was it to sign that contract. I'm excited to talk to William's father and talk all about his son's racing career. And then at 4:30, the Timberwolves are set to introduce the 2 players that they acquired previous to yesterday's NBA trade deadline at 2 p.m. Central Time. That'll be a live press conference coming from the Target Center at 4:30, and we will be bringing that to you in its entirety. Okay, let's get into some headlines here. As we got kind of alluded to there with Lindsey Vonn, the 2026 Winter Olympics are off in Italy. The opening ceremony happening as we speak. It'll air on tape delay tonight. 232 American athletes in total. 37 of them are from Minnesota. That's the most of any state. 16% of the team, one of those being Lindsey Vonn from St. Paul. She did her downhill training run earlier today, and I won't spoil any of the Olympic opening ceremony for you, but let's just say it is completely star-powered. There's an American singer that we all know that took part in it. There's obviously a very well-known Italian singer that took part in it as well. There are 2 Olympic cauldrons, so lots to see if you watch it on tape delay tonight.
I want to know, was it better than the Paris one? Because the Paris one was really, I know that they were trying something in the last Summer Games. I know they were trying something kind of interesting, but I don't know, it didn't work along the river, I don't think.
Yeah.
Bit, like everything felt a bit disjointed, and then Lady Gaga was there and it was kind of weird. And so how did this one go down? Was it better?
No, I haven't watched it in its totality yet. I've seen some spoilers online. I am going to be locked in tonight. I've been seeing it in kind of a dual screen out of the corner of my eye, but yes, there is, like I said, there is an American singer that we all know and love that did take part in it. There's an Italian singer that everybody knows that took part in it as well. Okay. There's a tribute to Giorgio Armani. He designed the Italian national team's outfits for years and years and years. Of course, he passed away recently, so there's a tribute to him. So it's going to be great. I'm really excited about the coverage tonight.
Okay,
so.
All right. That American singer, it doesn't need to be back in LA on Sunday. It's a completely different singer.
No. She's well known for a number of hits. but she's got a Christmas song that we all know and love. That probably gave it away. So we'll see.
Oh,
You
okay.
can watch it tonight. Yes. That's the Winter Olympics kicking off in Italy. Let's bring it back here to Minnesota. Minneapolis Public Schools has extended its temporary online learning option through spring break for families amid the ongoing immigration and enforcement surge in Minnesota. They began offering this e-learning following the shooting of Renee Good on Wednesday, January 7th. The temporary option was available through February 12th. That's next week. But then they just announced yesterday that they've extended the option through February 6th, which is through spring break. They announced also that they're continuing to monitor the situation, and if they deem that the circumstances have changed prior to April 6th, they will let families know 2 weeks in advance. So more to come from Minneapolis Public Schools.
I'm keen to know, Adam, do you think you would have been a good e-learning student?
Absolutely not.
Why?
I'm an extrovert. I like talking to people. I had one remote job in my career, and it was not my cup of tea. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
so.
I had a couple of friends who were teachers during COVID. Obviously, e-learning became essential then, and they just said it was just so much better to get back to school. It was just better for everyone socially. I mean, we all know what that was like, the isolation in COVID. So it's just, I don't know, it feels like this is a time where you need community.
I know, but it's difficult circumstances out there, of course, with people dealing with ice and whatnot. It's a lot, and it's heavy on everybody's plate. So I understand it, but at the same time, community obviously very important, especially in times like this.
And is this is an option? It's not mandatory.
It's an option.
Yeah,
it's an option. It's an option, and so families have the option to do it, and they have that option as of right now through April 6th, which is through spring break.
I mean, it's amazing that it's offered. It's a shame that we have to live through it, but I mean, that's just where we're at, I suppose.
That's right. And shout out to all the teachers and superintendents like Dr. Brenda Lewis and Fridley, among others, that kind of whipped all this up and put this together recently on very short notice, just like they did 6 years ago back during COVID. All right, 3 events happening this weekend we want to briefly touch on. The Luminary Lop It. It's a candlelight walk around the Lake of the Isles, more than 1,200 glowing candles. They will guide you past various ice sculptures if you like cold weather. And it's not supposed to be so cold here in the Twin Cities this weekend, but if you like ice sculptures and lights and whatnot, this is for you. The thing for me mostly, though, is also tomorrow, the Chili Open on Lake Minnetonka. Not chili as in the meal. Chili as in the weather, the temperature. This is a golf tournament with hockey sticks and tennis balls, only in Minnesota, on Lake Minnetonka tomorrow. You got to go check that one out. And then a hot air balloon rally happening in Hudson all weekend long, starting today. It's called the Hot Air Affair in Hudson. If you like hot air balloons, the hot air balloon capital of the United States is in New Mexico. You can get a little taste of that right here in the land of 10,000 lakes this weekend in Hudson. It should be fun. Yes, Paul. And we can't hear you, Paul.
Can you hear me now?
We got you now.
I don't know why that happens. I'm going to have a chat to the people that control that button because that shouldn't happen. Have you ever been in a hot air balloon?
No. And that's, again, you talk about e-learning, hot air, that's not my cup of tea either. No thanks.
Why?
I will take if I'm going to go up in the air, I want there to be a pilot. I want it to be a computer system. I don't want it to be balloon and fire. I'm good in a basket. I'm good on that.
You don't like the idea of a floating wicker basket?
No. I'll go up in a helicopter. I'll do that.
Okay, yeah.
I'll do a plane. I'll do a jet. I can do the little jets. I'm good with those.
Mm-hmm.
But hot air balloons, no, thank you. So.
Do you think do you think you'd be a nervous flyer in that instance?
Yes,
I know
of course.
You wouldn't go up. But
I would not do it. No, I would not do it. I would not skydive. I wouldn't do any of that. No, thank you. No, bungee jumping.
I feel like a hot air balloon is like very different to skydiving.
If I had a choice, I would take the hot air balloon over the skydiving for sure. But I again, fire, balloon, basket, I'm good.
You know
I'm
what
good.
they really don't prepare you for when you go up in a hot air balloon? Going up, no, I'm serious about this. What they don't prepare you about is that when you land, it can be really rough.
I'm sure it can.
So you're harnessed in, right? And takeoff is delightful. You hop in, you're lying down, it rocks over and you get lifted up and it's really pleasant. I've been in hot air balloon 3 times now, and so one of those times the landing was so rough, and we got dragged for like hundreds of meters as the basket came crashing to the ground, and you just get rocked over and rolled, and you just get dragged. So actually, the flight itself, fine. Landing, really rough.
Yeah, not for me.
But I'm sure that maybe they're better than the pilots I had over in Hudson. So maybe the pilots out in Hudson are better than the ones I had, because I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you like hot air balloons, you could do it right here, and you could do it in the wintertime too. It seems like more of a warm weather thing to me, but you can do it in the wintertime.
Particularly pleasant. I suppose you do get the heat. You get the blast of heat when you're in there, so maybe it's okay. I'm not sure.
Yes. Well, if you go to Hudson, you can find out all about hot air balloons this weekend and see if you like them. If you, Paul, do you want to go to commercial break, or should we just stick here?
No, I think we should maybe just, if you want to give everyone some context as to who we're chatting to and why. Because I want to be able to get into that, so that if something happens here at the Whipple Building, we can come back to it. So going to break would mean that we would have to wait until that break's over. So let's set up our next guest.
We're taking you behind the curtain here. We're going to go right into our next segment. This is a Super Bowl 60 primer. It is live in the Bay Area, up in NorCal. All the events taking place in San Francisco. The game, of course, taking place just down the freeway in Santa Clara near San Jose. Both beautiful cities, beautiful area of the country. I want to welcome in the global head of sports and media partnerships and we're loading him up right now. There is a person that is there on the ground that's going to be giving us sort of an eye account of what's happening in the Bay Area right now. He's the global head of sports and media partnerships for Snap Incorporated. You probably have Snapchat on your phone. His name is Anmol Malhotra. Anmol, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you, sir? Okay, we're getting Anmol on the line here. We're having some brief technical difficulties, but he's coming. We're all excited. We got him now. Anmol, what's going on, my man? How are you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Sorry about that.
You're good. Tell us what's happening up there in SF right now. Where are you at right now?
I'm at a very fun event, a women's sports brunch hosted by Kristen Juszczyk and Claire Kittle. I'll talk about all the great stuff they're doing around the game. It feels like it's LA weather. It's like 70 and sunny and no clouds in the sky, as you can see. So everyone on the East Coast is happy to be here.
I love that. Anmol, I know you've covered with Snap a number of Super Bowls. How does this year's setup compare to previous years that you may have covered?
I think it's awesome. SF is an amazing city for this, and obviously the game being in Santa Clara, so a lot of folks in town. The weather could not be better. And I think the NFL's done a great job making it a week-long event too. It's not just the game on Sunday. So for a lot of the sports business folks, we get here Wednesday, Thursday. There's events, there's conferences, there's parties, there's dinners. And I think, most importantly, from a content standpoint, there's so many things happening outside of the game itself. And sort of our focus is all that stuff: the pregame, the postgame, the fans, the food in the city, the creators, what are people doing? So our focus around that sort of piece is primary.
Anmol, I know you were at the Super Bowl when it was right here in Minneapolis. The Eagles, the Patriots, a very famous Super Bowl. The Eagles, huge underdogs in that game, winning that game outright. What were some of your takeaways from your time in Minneapolis and how they did as a Super Bowl host city?
It was awesome as well. I think the stadium had just been recently finished, so it was kind of state of the art and new. Very cold those few days for those who were there and remember, but it was very well done. Everything was kind of walkable within some of the city pieces, and a lot of it was indoor. And I think the game itself was incredible. If you remember, I think there was any punts that game from the Eagles and the Pats, and just an incredible offensive explosion. So a very fun one to be at.
That's awesome. Hey, I think a lot of people think that the Super Bowl is just the game. You said that you're at an event right now for women in sports. What are some of the other events that are all taking place? I know this weekend is when they kind of all get jam-packed, but this really is a week-long sort of celebration of football, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of, interested parties, right? So obviously the league has their events, showcasing everything they're doing, announcing new initiatives. As everyone probably saw yesterday, NFL honors, all of the awards happening. We saw Matthew Stafford get the MVP and others. So it's kind of a celebration of what's happening in the season, announcing stuff happening next season. There was an announcement of the Rams-Niners game in Melbourne next fall, right? So I think there's a lot of those moments for the league. for the teams, it's a great way to interact with partners. All the teams are here doing team meetings. And then for us, in the social world and the sports biz world, we're talking to brands, we're talking to agencies, we're talking to, the other players that are here, and kind of everybody's here for 4 or 5 days, right? So there's probably no better period of time to meet all of those interested parties, all being in one place. So it's really, really important for all of us. And I think you have the game as the cherry on top on Sunday, right? As such a kind of wrap at the bow.
Well, I've got a question. I'm not a big sports fan, but I have a question about this, because the way I understand it is that the Super Bowl, the location of it is obviously decided well and truly before we even know who's going to play in it. Does that play into the kinds of people we're seeing go to the Super Bowl? Like, because the people are buying those tickets, I guess, well and truly in advance of the game. They're just working out who's even going to play in the game. So are you seeing people that are just really obsessed with football as maybe over being obsessed with a particular team, or how does it kind of play out? What's the snapshot of the people we're seeing at the Super Bowl?
It's a great question. So there's obviously the diehard fan bases that want to come to support Seattle and New England. There's the funny folks that bought tickets before it was finalized. You see a lot of different jerseys of other teams for folks that are just here that thought their team might be here or support the league, which is really, really always a fun chuckle walking through the city. And then, of course, I think beyond that, to your point, a lot of the sports biz folks, the corporate folks that want to entertain here and host, this is one of the biggest global sporting and just broadly entertainment and tentpole moments in the world. It's a great place to be. So if you're doing business, again, all those parties are here. So you'll see some of those folks. And then I think you get, a lot of the local area people that are big football fans or want to go to a big event that it's in their backyard, so they're going to be coming here too. But I think the other interesting part you guys know well, the stadium fits 70, 80K. There's well more than that in the city of people that are just around for the atmosphere and want to feel part of the, this amazing event.
You mentioned all the other jerseys that you see. Have you seen any purple and gold of the Vikings on Mall?
I have seen a few Justin Jefferson jerseys. Yes, we've seen a few of those.
Yeah, the Minnesota fans, they're it's a little bit of a bittersweet Super Bowl with Sam Darnold obviously starting there for the Seahawks and them just having him last year. So before we let you go, let's get a game prediction out of you on Mall.
Game prediction. So I would say, as a New York, diehard sports fan, I cannot root for or pick anything related to Boston. So I would like the Seahawks to win. I'm going to say 31-13 Seahawks.
Our friends at NBC are not rooting for that result there on Mall, but I like the prediction. Thank you so much for making time for us today. Enjoy that beautiful NorCal weather, and hopefully you can get something good to eat in SF as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. That's great. A live report on the ground in the city by the Bay ahead of Super Bowl 60, all going down this Sunday. We're so excited. Paul, let's bring you back into the conversation when you're ready to come in here.
Yes.
I'm pumped. He brought up the Australia game between the Niners and the Rams next year. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome.
And which city is it going to be in? Do you know?
Melbourne,
correct. You said it correctly.
I think he said it correctly too.
He said it correctly too.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people obviously say Melbourne.
Yes.
That's what I hear a lot here. Melbourne. It's not Melbourne. It's Melbourne.
Melbourne. Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways from that conversation, and just my own experiences around the Super Bowl, is that it's so much more than just the 2 to 3 hour game that takes place on Sunday. It really is a week-long event. Like you said, he was at a women in sports thing that was being put on by Kylie Kelsey among other people there. And so it's just a real celebration of football. And I know when it was here in Minnesota, it was just such a great thing for the city of Minneapolis to be able to show off the downtown area and show off the crown jewel that truly is US Bank Stadium.
Just also the excitement of the build. I mean, I wasn't here for when the game was on. We had just ducked back to Australia at that point, but we were here for the lead up to it, and just sort of the anticipation of an event city like that. I mean, we plan to talk about it later on in the show about what it's like to be in an Olympic city, which people who are going to be fortunate enough to be over in Milan right now are experiencing, and those in a couple of years' time who are going to head out to LA for the games. I imagine you're probably planning to go out.
LA 2028, it's going to be special, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, I mean, being in an Olympic city or an event city like that is something special. Yes, and weirdly, this weekend seems jam-packed with sporting events that are kind of those event cities.
You know what's interesting, though, about this weekend? Normally, everything is kind of in the same area, like Minneapolis. Like I said, you're staying there. All the events are happening there. There's so many events happening in the city of San Francisco. Okay, Santa Clara, folks, especially with traffic, and the traffic is going to be really gnarly this weekend. It could be almost a 2-hour drive down the freeway. Normally, that drives about an hour, hour and 5. I've done it a couple of times before between SF and Santa Clara, San Jose. With traffic, that could be a 2-hour commute. So that's nothing to scoff at, and definitely makes life a little bit more difficult for media and people that are there for business-related purposes, like our friend Anmal.
I heard a conversation on the radio this morning, people talking about when the Super Bowl was here during, what year was that?
I think it was 2017 or 18.
2018? Maybe?
Yeah, yep.
And they were talking about a couple that had flown in from New York, and the best accommodation they could get for the price was $800 for one night in a super cheap roadside motel out in Lina Lakes to get to the game.
I don't even know where Lina Lakes is.
That's how far away it is from the city.
Sure.
But for $800, I mean, that just goes to show us what those events can do to bring money to the cities and the economy.
Yes.
Look, Adam, I am going to roll the dice on this. We've been chatting enough and trying to fill some time here, but I think we're going to go to break.
Yep.
And I'm going to keep half an eye on that, and we will bring anything that's happening. Just bringing everyone in so that you can see what we're looking at, but we're not just pretending.
That's right.
Here we have this. We're waiting to see if there is anything coming from the Whipple building, but there isn't. So, Adam, why don't you throw to break, and we will hopefully be able to bring some people some stuff about this later on in the show.
Yeah, just some additional context on what's going on there at the Whipple building right now. DFL representatives from Minnesota, Angie Craig, Betty McCollum, and Kelly Morrison are all conducting an oversight visit inside that Henry Whipple building. Of course, that's kind of been the cornerstone of ICE protests that have been going on here for the last 4 to 6 weeks. They are inside the building right now. They will be holding a press conference, and when they do and when they exit those doors, we'll be bringing that to you live. But we are going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to have lawyer Mike Bryant talking about President Trump's comments earlier this week, pretty much walking back his opinions on the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, what that means from a judicial standpoint, what that means from an investigation standpoint. We're excited to talk to an attorney that can help us explain all of this more. So Mike Bryant coming up right after the break. Don't go anywhere. are back here on this Friday edition of the afternoon shift. We're going to take it back 2 days ago. President Trump on Wednesday walked back previous statements that ICE agents were justified in shooting Renee Good and Alex Preddy. He now says that the shooting should not have happened. Joining us now to tell us more about the legal ramifications behind these statements is attorney Mike Bryant of the firm Bradshaw and Bryant. Mr. Bryant, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you, sir?
Good to see you, Adam.
It's good to see you too. Thanks so much for making time for us. Mike, how unusual is it for prosecutors to be barred from seeing evidence in an investigation? Obviously, this is an investigation that the president and his administration has made it very difficult for local investigators to collect evidence from and really kind of go about their usual way of doing business.
It's we're in times we've never seen before, where evidence sometimes can be hidden that they don't know about, but when they actually know there's actual evidence out there to see, and they produce most of the evidence. So this is unheard of.
You know, Mike, if the president, and I said it there in the intro, if he says that the shooting shouldn't have happened, could that help prosecutors access the evidence that they need to formally conduct an investigation in both of these cases?
Well, arguably he should never have been involved in this to begin with. You wonder if he gave Bondi a call and let her know that what's going on also. The original statements were so ridiculous when you look at the video. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, they were saying things before they looked at the video. But to look at an execution and say it's anything but what it was is just it's sad, it's unconstitutional, and it'll involve a lot of ramifications for a number of issues.
Mike, is it legal for federal officials to block local prosecutors from accessing evidence? We saw this play out with the Alex Preddy shooting, where they didn't allow local officials to come on the scene and collect evidence. The same thing happened with Renee Good. What's the legality behind this?
Well, it's involving a preemption, and this goes into civil cases, criminal cases. It involves anytime we've got states' rights versus what the federal government is doing. And the federal government took some prior decisions, some prior agreements that were made, and they've come to the conclusion that as the federal government, they have control over everything. So in civil cases, if a person's in something that involves the federal government, they are able to, the federal government, grab it and make sure it goes to federal court. Whether or not preemption works in a criminal case, we see it when they decide to charge and the state gets out of the way so they can charge. We saw it in reverse with the Floyd case, where the state brought the charges and the feds were ready to bring charges, but waited until the results. They were all set to arrest Chauvin in the courtroom if he was found not guilty. After the state was done, the feds came in, they came up with their charges. A couple of the officers there retried their cases or tried their separate cases. And then the feds, through preemption, take control over where they go to prison, how long they go to prison. The biggest differences are where you end up and the penalty. Like, you don't have good time when you go into federal prison. And there's different things that come involved as far as when you can get out, how you can get out, what the impact is, what state you end up in, those type of things. So we see this a lot. It goes back to an argument that started with this country on states' rights. We've seen a number of in the past Republicans who really believe in states' rights and have been lawyers that fight the federal government like crazy. Now they've stepped out of the way and let the federal government do what they want. So it's not illegal unless they do something that would be seen as impeding the progress by the state criminally. So if what they did, and it's possible with them getting the guy who shot
Mr. Bryant, I'm just going to have to press the pause button there with you right now, because we're going to need to go actually to the Whipple building. We've got some U.S. representatives that are about to speak. They just did an oversight of the building. So I really apologize, but we're going to have to end our conversation here. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Great.
And let's go out to the Whipple building right now. U.S. representatives Angie Craig, Betty McCollum, and Kelly Morrison all getting a tour of the Whipple building and about to address the media there.
Take care. Thank you.
Angie Craig. I represent the 2nd District of Minnesota, and for the second time, I have been denied entry.
I'd love to listen to it, yes, and watch it.
My congressional duties, the job that I was
Can I get volume?
by the people of Minnesota's 2nd District, ICE continue to not allow me to do. It's just extraordinary. We have constituents in this facility. We are bound by our duties as members of Congress to be able to check on their health, their safety. Look, I've received reports that family members are being detained who have serious medical issues, and family members are not able to get their prescription drugs to them. We've received reports that there are U.S. citizen sections in many of these facilities. And at the end of the day, it is our job to show up and check on our constituents. So again, Kristi Noem and Donald Trump's ICE are not following the law.
To clarify, what was the reason that they gave you? They said because of the lawsuit, there's only 13 people allowed in, and that's why in the last appropriations bill that was passed, we included, again, language that's been standard boilerplate language since the first Trump administration, that members of Congress can go fulfill their congressional obligation for life, health, and safety, and to make sure that people are treated in humane conditions, as well as to Angie's point, we used to be able to have a regional person here in the Homeland Department of Security. So if somebody was detained, our staff could directly interface with somebody. Now we're told to email one big national number. So getting a hold of anybody over there to follow up on whether it's a citizen, somebody with a green card, or somebody that we need to make sure has their medicine, they've made it impossible for us to do that. So I'm so glad that they allowed our colleague, who's one of the plaintiffs, Congresswoman Morrison, to go back in, because she really can have ears and eyes on what's going on being a physician herself. So you've all read the stories, people going to the ERs with eight fractures on their skull, people not having their medication. I mean, this is not the way the United States and the Congress wants to see people treated. We're better than that, and we're here to make sure that she can speak for herself.
You were in there quite a while. Was this just...
Well, we got farther than we normally did.
Well, I got farther than I did the first time. Look, I will tell you one of the most concerning things that Congresswoman Morrison and I have experienced here is they put members of Congress in a waiting room when we come to perform our congressional oversight duties. What are they doing to get those detention facilities ready before we finally get to go down and look? We don't know, but there should be no wait. It is absolute law that members of Congress have the responsibility and right to perform these oversight visits. Again, this is the second time that Kristi Noem's ICE has not allowed me in. And look, I've been very critical of Kristi Noem's ICE. I have filed articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem. That does not take away my right to perform my congressional duties and look at these detention centers.
People have told us that people are sleeping in concrete floors in there. They're shackled all the time. Toilets are overflowing. What are your thoughts about these situations?
I've seen situations like that. And once we see them, we bring them to the Department of Homeland Security and the folks that are running these facilities. We put a spotlight on it. That's our job, then, to come talk to the press. So just like they have these administrative warrants, which don't follow the law, which are against the Constitution, their little rule, keeping the two of us out, is also against the law. And we're going to speak up, and we're going to speak out, and do everything we can to make sure that the next time we come back, we're in there to do our duties of oversight.
Can Congress hold hearings to look into this on Capitol Hill and say, why is this happening?
Well, they could if my congressional Republican colleagues would speak out and grow a spine and show just a tiny bit of patriotism. I understand that Republicans have a Republican president, but I would remind my colleagues that they did not take an oath to a president. They took an oath to the Constitution, and would just continue to encourage them to follow their oath.
How much does situations like this, where you're not allowed in, again, play into ongoing discussions about funding the Department of Homeland Security?
Well, unfortunately, in the legislation that was passed in the big, not so beautiful bill, the Department of Homeland Security to carry out this operation here and around the country, this isn't the only place it's happening, has enough funding for the next 5 to 6 years. It's mandatory funding, so even in a shutdown, they get that funding. So many of us, especially on the Appropriations Committee, working with our colleagues on the authorizing committees, are figuring out a way we can keep that from happening. And I think this will just drive home, I think you might agree with me, what we're going to be asking for the vote that should come up in the next 6 to 7 days as we not negotiate, demand that the laws and the Constitution of this country be followed. And this is going to be part of that.
Yeah, we absolutely, not one more penny to Kristi Noem's ICE until they start following the law, until they stop profiling our neighbors, until they stop wearing masks, until all of the things that we've been talking about, body cameras, accountability. It is simply unacceptable, the tactics that ICE are using in our communities right now, and we are going to be doing everything in our power to ensure that these guardrails are put in place before any funding bill will be supported by a number of us. I'm sure as hell not voting for a penny to Trump's ICE until these guardrails are put in place.
I want to make a comment on the body cameras. In 2021, in an appropriation bills, we funded body cameras. In 2022, President Biden said the body cameras will be worn and the information will be transmitted. When President Trump took office, before these searches even started, he told them that they could put the body cameras away. So we just don't want to fund some of these things that are in this bill. That's why it's not a negotiation, or we're being nice about it, or we're asking the president's permission. We are demanding that the Constitution and the law be followed. This is something that, and I've been in Congress longer than Angie has. I've never seen anything like this. No president has ever behaved this way. Breaking the law, breaking the Constitution, and having his administration just decide what they want to do and what they don't want to do. Whether it's the Department of Defense or Homeland Security, it is out of control.
How long were you in there before they gave you the no? Did you have to wait for that, or was it pretty quick?
I asked at 3 o'clock, was probably, what time is it now? A good 40 minutes.
Yeah,
40 minutes.
They pulled us in for about 40 minutes into a waiting area before they announced that Representative McCollum and I would not be allowed in.
And who was it that was denying you? Who specifically?
That's an interesting question.
That's a great question. We don't know.
I don't think
the higher-ups.
I don't think it was the gentleman here.
No.
I want to be honest.
No.
I don't think it was the gentleman here. I think they were following their orders, doing their due diligence, made a phone call, and some attorney who doesn't know how to read appropriations law that's been signed by the president or follow the Constitution made a decision to exclude us from doing our jobs.
Two questions. Is Representative Morrison still inside?
Yes.
She is.
Okay. Second question. You said they told you that up to 13 people are allowed. Do you know where they got that number, or who are the 13?
That's part of a. I've got a copy of the lawsuit here, but it's part of a suit that was brought, and a judge came up with a small number for now, while things are still going through the courts and being heard.
But as Representative McCollum just said, the appropriations bills that passed last week had the language that would allow us to perform our congressional oversight duties. And Donald Trump just signed it into law again, and now is ignoring a bill and law that he just signed.
Which tells me they don't want us in these facilities. So I'm so glad Congresswoman Morrison's in there, because she'll speak the
Do you
truth.
think they're trying to hide stuff? Not having you guys get in there?
Well, look, anytime you have somebody who shows up with 8 skull fractures after they were in a facility, it's got to tell you something that things that are happening here aren't the way that they should be, right?
A couple of weeks ago, we were working to try to get insulin to someone who had been detained, who desperately needed their medication. The week before that, we were desperately trying to find a constituent before he was moved to El Paso who needed his medication. So do I think things are happening in this facility that are anti-American and anti-patriotic? You bet I do.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
So there you just heard a pretty fascinating update there from Minnesota DFL U.S. Representatives Angie Craig. And hello, Mike Bryant. Thank you for staying on with us. Minnesota DFL Representatives Angie Craig, Betty McCollum, denied access to the Whipple building, were held in a waiting room for 40 minutes. The only one of those U.S. reps that is inside the Whipple building, and she's inside there right now, is Representative Kelly Morrison. All 3 of them showed up within their constitutional power as U.S. representatives, conducting an oversight of the Whipple building. 2 of them not allowed in. Kelly Morrison is in there. Mike Bryant, an attorney, your reaction to this?
Well, I mean, they have seniority. McCollum's been there a long time, and it's just crazy where power's coming from, that they can't see their constituents, they can't see people, actions that happened in their state, in their districts, and they're being denied the opportunity to find out what's going on in their very own district as far as right now. And to back up, there's history going on now that is rewriting what this country stands for, what our constitutional rights are, everything.
Yeah. That was a fascinating press conference there. And I think one of the reporters asked the 2 of them the question, do you think that they're trying to hide something? Do you think something is being what's your kind of take on that?
Well, Craig laughed, which was interesting. But the first question I'd ask is, who's they? I mean, is it the people who are in the building? Are there people in Washington? I mean, there seems to be a combination, but who's in control? Who's making the decisions right now that says a elected congresswoman can't go in the building and find out what's going on in a day that they could have been able to do this for so many years, and they have so many rights, they have so much authority to be able to ask these questions, and they're not being told the truth.
Mike Bryant, an attorney with the firm Bradshaw and Bryant. Mike, thanks so much for your flexibility. Thank you for staying on with us, and we really appreciate those insights that you were able to provide after that presser.
It's fascinating. Thank you for staying on this story because it's important.
Thanks. Appreciate you, Mike. And thank you to our producer, Grace Henry, for booking Mike. And it was really perfect timing to have him on when that press conference there just happened. And by the way, I should say, if Representative Kelly Morrison does speak outside the Whipple building, we'll be sure to bring you that live as it happens. All right, we're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to shift our focus back to the Olympics. We're going to keep it within the land of 10,000 Lakes. St. Paul native Lindsey Vonn, 41 years old, making her 5th Olympic appearance, completely tore her ACL last week. What does that mean? Dr. Brent Warner, he is a physician at Summit Orthopedics. He'll be joining us right after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. The afternoon shift continues. Welcome back. It is 3:51. If you were with us that previous segment, you just heard from Representatives Angie Craig and Representative McCollum. They were speaking. They were not allowed inside the Whipple building. The one representative that was allowed inside is Kelly Morrison. She's still in there, we think. And the minute that she comes out and addresses the media, we will be bringing that to you live. But in the meantime, let's shift our gear to the Olympics. St. Paul native Lindsey Vonn completely tore her ACL recently. But just this morning, competed in a training run in Italy. It all went well. Joining us now to talk about the seriousness of losing an ACL and competing in the Olympics is sports medicine physician and surgeon at Summit Orthopedics, Dr. Brent Warner. Dr. Warner, welcome to the afternoon shift. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, doctor. You know, Paul, our executive producer, brought this up earlier, and I'll ask you the question. You know, we hear about torn ACLs all the time. What exactly is an ACL? What does that acronym stand for? And where is it within the body?
Yeah, great question. So ACL stands for anterior cruciate ligament. So it's in the knee. It's one of the four major ligaments that you have in your knee that help hold that joint together. That's what a ligament does in your body. It connects one bone to another bone. And so there's four major ligaments in the knee that do that. And the ACL is arguably the most important of those.
Yeah. So how is Lindsey Vonn able to compete in the Olympics in skiing, which I've never skied before, but it seems like it would require the knees a lot. You're on your feet, you're kind of maneuvering around. How could she do this?
Yeah, I would tell you, there are probably not a lot of people on the planet who would be able to pull this off. Now, somebody who is an athlete of her caliber and who clearly has been skiing for her entire life at an extremely high level, she's going to be one of the few who might be able to pull that off and still ski pretty well. But your average, person, the average patient I might see in my office who likes to ski, I'm not sure that would be the case.
And we're talking football. It's Super Bowl weekend. Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix, they were in the AFC Championship. He tore his ACL in the AFC Championship game. He was, in the round before that, he was not able to compete in the AFC Championship game. He's out for months, doctor, months. And this is an NFL quarterback. Again, what are the ramifications, or maybe I should say, what is the usual recovery time for somebody that does tear their ACL? If an NFL quarterback is out for months and misses out on a chance to go to the Super Bowl, again, that just makes this so much more fascinating.
Yeah. So, it is an injury that for an athlete requires surgery to make that better. And the surgery is one that requires a good, 6 to 12 months most of the time for that athlete to recover. So what you just said about Bo Nix is absolutely correct. He's going to have surgery. I'm not sure, he maybe already has had his surgery. Not sure. Anyway,
Yep.
But yeah, you're going to expect it's going to be about a year for him to get back on a football field. And a big part of that is because trying to continue competing and using that knee when the ACL is injured actually places other parts of that joint at risk too. So those athletes can injure a meniscus or tear another ligament or damage the cartilage inside of their knee. So there's also, kind of long-term ramifications there that if they get those additional injuries, they're looking at a bigger and bigger problem. So Lindsey is certainly a special case, right? She's a special circumstance. I think the things that factor in for her most likely are, this is the Olympics, right? So the stakes are high and she wants to try to compete and maybe win a gold medal. She is kind of at the end of her career, right? She actually came out of retirement to try to compete and win this gold medal. So it's not as if she's looking at, having 10 or 15 or 20 years of career ahead of her that she really needs to be too worried about. So, would I advise most athletes I see to try to do this? No, absolutely not. But she's kind of a special case.
Yeah. And you say that she's there at the end of her career. Do you think that she might be jeopardizing her ability to walk in 20 years by competing at the Olympics this year? I don't want to bring age into the factor here. She's 41 years old. This is certainly at play here as well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, the real big risk for the long-term future of her knee is her risk to have arthritis. And so, interestingly, she's already had, I believe, a partial knee replacement in her other knee, which ultimately stemmed from her having an ACL injury to that knee many, many years ago. So could she be looking at a similar outcome in the knee she's now injured? Yeah, that could be the long-term future of this. But she, better than most people, understands what those consequences are, having been through a lot of this type of thing in the past. So if she made that calculation that, these are risks that I can understand and, deal with those consequences, I think you can make a rational case for what she's doing here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doc, I've got a couple of questions. Just so that the average person can understand, what sort of pain are we talking here? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how painful is what Lindsey's facing or dealing with right now?
It can certainly vary from patient to patient. So I won't say every single, case feels the exact same, but I would say the most common is, yes, once that ligament has been injured, there's some bleeding and swelling inside of the knee. And over the first few days, that pain can be pretty intense. Now, as that swelling and bleeding from the injury starts to die down, the pain can get better fairly quickly. And, I'm not Lindsey's doctor, and so I don't know any of this, but my assumption is they have done some things to try to help manage that pain for her. And that might have included, draining fluid like blood out of her knee, possibly injecting medications in the knee to help with pain and inflammation. I think she's almost certainly wearing a brace. I didn't have the opportunity to watch her race today, but I would guess she has a brace on that knee while she's skiing. And those things are all going to help limit that pain. I think the other factor here is, again, she's a professional athlete who has pushed her body to its utmost extent for her entire career. And so if there is somebody out there who's going to be able to kind of grit their teeth and deal with the pain, it's going to be an athlete of her level.
So my other question then is, so is the ACL, does that keep the legs, is it a stabilizer? Because I'm wondering, being an athlete, all those other muscles, because they're so strong and so healthy around it, is that why an athlete can push through with something like this?
Yeah, so it is. It's one of the main stabilizers in your knee. It helps control the movement of your tibia, your shin bone, relative to your femur, your thigh bone. And so without that ligament working, there is an abnormal stability there. Those bones can move abnormally relative to one another. And yeah, the brace might help that, but then you're absolutely correct. There is a lot of components of stability that does have to do with her strength and her experience, and all those things.
Yeah, and not to hijack this interview, I will let Adam get back to his job, but I just have one more question. Is there a sport, skiing is obviously, she's been given the green light to do this. Mm-hmm. Are there sports where this would just be an absolute no-go? Sorry, absolutely, you're not going to get out there and compete again.
Football, clearly, with Bo Nix.
Yeah, honestly, any sport that's going to be a contact sport, a cutting and pivoting sport, those are the ones that we worry that, the risk to that athlete to do further damage is going to be at its highest. And downhill skiing really is one of those. It falls into that high-risk category. So, is she taking a risk by doing what she's doing? Definitely she is. But she's going to understand, her and her team around her, right? They understand what the stakes are and what the consequences are of those decisions. And if they have made the calculation that they're willing to contend with those long-term possibilities, then, I think that's where you wind up in a situation like this. And again, what she's doing is incredible. There are not a lot of people on this planet who would be able to have an injury like this and be skiing at the level she's clearly skiing, this quickly afterward.
How many days off work would I get if I lost my?
I'm guessing your job isn't one where you have to, tackle people or get tackled by people all that often.
Some days.
Even somebody having like an office job, if they tore their ACL, it wouldn't be uncommon to see them out of work for at least several days, if not a couple of weeks.
Incredible. Yeah. And I guess, Dr. Brent, you wouldn't recommend if somebody does tear their ACL to try to channel their inner Lindsey Vonn here. They need to get the help that they need.
Yeah, in my practice, I can see very few scenarios where that's something I would advise. Again, this is a special case, right? She's a special athlete, and we're talking about, the highest level of competition, with this being the Olympics, right? This is a special circumstance where these sorts of decisions can be made. But I would tell you that virtually every patient I might see in my office, I'm going to tell them, no, you should stop, because there are very real risks here.
And you can go visit Dr. Brent at Summit Orthopedics. You call her a special athlete. She's a special person here in the state of Minnesota, a St. Paul native, looking for her second Olympic gold medal. We wish Lindsey all the best. And thank you, Dr. Brent, for all of your insights. ACL tears are something we hear all the time. I think all of us are walking away with a much more educated understanding of what exactly an ACL is and the magnitude of tearing it. So we really appreciate your insights.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bud. Thank you. Thank you. Fascinating stuff. And we're so excited to watch Lindsey compete in the Olympics. We're also excited to watch another Minnesota athlete compete in his sport of choice. That's NASCAR. Big season of NASCAR here on Fox 9 coming up. The Daytona 500 next Sunday on Fox 9. His name is William Sawalich. He's 19 years old. Born and raised right here in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. We have his father, Brandon, coming up on the show next, joining me in studio to talk all about his son. Yes, Paul.
And I wouldn't be competing in NASCAR either, even with an ACL.
No.
No. Sitting down.
I would never compete in NASCAR anyways, because I don't want to go in a car that's going 180 miles an hour.
Brady cat. You won't even get in a fast car or a hot air balloon.
No. Compete, I would go on an empty track with a professional driver in the passenger seat.
Oh, yeah.
But compete, no thank you.
I don't think I'd cope in NASCAR because I get really frustrated with people that speed too much, and I also don't like when people don't indicate. So I know that I'm not getting either of both of those things are going to happen if I was in a NASCAR race.
Yeah, it's to anybody out there that says that NASCAR isn't a sport, you should go watch a NASCAR race. Those guys are professional athletes, guys and gals, I should say, are professional athletes behind the wheel. It takes a lot of coordination and a lot of skill and agility to be able to compete like that. And William is one of the best on the NASCAR circuit. We're so excited to talk to him. He's one of our own here in Minnesota, and pumped to talk to his father.
I'm going to see if I can find these facts. I heard it in a podcast once, so I'm not entirely sure how true it is, because it's something I just heard, so I'm sharing it secondhand. So I'll try and look into it. But there's a couple of interesting facts around what happens on the roads after things like NASCAR events. There's a spike in minor car accidents on the roads. I think it's the Tuesday after a NASCAR event. And another interesting thing is that NASCAR drivers tend to lose a few seconds on their personal best lap time after they become fathers, because there's a thing that twigs in their brain to be slightly more conservative, to look after their little ones. So I'll see if I can find those facts. Can't verify that they're definitely true. I'll try and find them while we're in commercial break.
Please do. And we're pumped to talk to William Sawalich's father. William, just 19 years old. Pumped to talk to his father, Brandon, coming up right after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back here to the afternoon shift. The NASCAR on Fox season kicked off just this week with the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray. And one local driver to watch this season is Eden Prairie's William Sawalich. Paul, before we get to, we'll just get right here to Mr. Sawalich. We got his father, the president and CEO, the Eden-based hearing company, Eden Prairie-based hearing company, Starkey Brandon. Thank you so much for joining. I was about to call you William. Thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it. How did your son William get into auto racing? That's not a sport that I feel like a lot of kids just naturally get into.
Especially Minnesota. I believe the movie Cars was successful in what it wanted to do, build the fan base. It was that movie Cars. When it came out, he was 2 years old and watched it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And then got into, it was Monster Trucks, which I believe is here this weekend or something.
Is.
I went to several of those with him, and anything he can drive when he could, he would.
Yeah.
And then started Elko, just kart racing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just he had a passion for it.
That's amazing. 19 years old. What did you realize, Brandon, that William was special, that he was going to go on to become a professional athlete, a professional NASCAR driver?
Yeah, I always debated, and is it a hobby, the passion, or has he got the talent? I always saw the little bit of that spark of talent, but it was like 2000, about 5-6 years ago. He was 14, and he won a race down in Alabama against one of drivers well known for decades, and he's got this is it.
Yeah.
And he's always. He figures this out quick, and he's just learns, adapts, and goes. He doesn't slow down.
Yeah, I know we got some pictures of young William and you kind of growing up there. These are just awesome pictures. Paul, can you walk us through this? What exactly are we looking at here?
That's at Elko. That's at Little Elko Speedway. Every Sunday morning, go down there, and that's where he got the start. And I was his crew chief that day.
You were his crew chief. So he went from you as the crew chief to now, is it Joe Gibbs Racing he's a part of?
Yeah,
I mean, this is a big deal. He's driving the number 18 car. He's out there fully on the NASCAR circuit. What's life like as a NASCAR professional athlete?
He's learning, and he adapts. He's focused. But with him, he's very engaged with the fans. He doesn't, autographs, everything. They don't bother him, and he just soaks it up.
Yeah.
And he can prioritize. And I tell you, for me as a dad, going to a race, or so you hear you talking about him. He's my son, but going to the race and seeing people stop him for the autograph, it's kind of surreal.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Can you talk about the training that goes behind being a NASCAR driver? Because I think there's so many people that think that these guys just show up and get behind the wheel and press on the gas and just go. There's a lot of different stuff that goes into this. Yeah.
No, he's in the gym an hour or two every day, every morning, running, conditioning, and doing the best he can to make sure he's going to have his peak performance. And I'm jealous because I look at, he's working out, he's got muscles, and I'm like, he's got my DNA, so I have a chance, maybe. Maybe, but he's just focused on what he can do to win.
Is this something that you wanted to get into when you were a kid?
No, not a chance. No, I got into NASCAR because of William. He got me into NASCAR because he was watching it. Our first race was at the Indianapolis Speedway, the Coke 400, and we went there, and we went to one every year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You and your wife, Jessica, do you make it to a good number of races of Williams?
Well, several a year, and as they come up and we're available, but we'll be in Daytona next weekend.
Yeah.
The first race, the kickoff on Saturday.
Yeah, so talk to us about next weekend at Daytona. All of those races happening right here on Fox 9. It's a huge Super Bowl, essentially, weekend of racing at Daytona. What goes behind the Daytona 500? What makes that whole weekend so special?
Oh, it's the fans and the energy. Mm-hmm. I mean, NASCAR starts their Super Bowl with their first race of the season. Mm-hmm. And, you know the history there, and you're walking, and I get to go down the pits, and you see Richard Petty and all the legends. It's just kind of, it's surreal, but it's exciting because, when the national anthem strikes up and the flyover, you get goosebumps.
Yeah. What's it like being as part of the pit crew, being in the pit? I mean, we see this on TV. They're literally changing off tires, folks, in the matter of, those seconds are going to make and break you winning a race or not.
Yeah, every second, yes.
What goes all into that?
You want to do a class on teamwork? It's the pit crews, because they have to know, they are so in sync from the moment he comes in, stops, and 4 to 8 seconds in and out.
Yeah.
And they have to get their job right the first time.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's so fascinating about your son here is that he's 19 years old. the people in these pit crews and all, these are people that essentially work for him, and he's 19 years old. I mean, how does he manage all of that, essentially being the CEO of a team here, not even 21 yet?
Yeah, William approaches it with a lot of humility and wants to learn. So, if the car needs work, he'll stay with them and help him out and do what he can do. If he needs to go get lunch or dinner for him while they're working, he's really part of the team. He's that quiet leader that is also learning and asking questions, but supports his team.
Yeah. Has he ever gotten a speeding ticket here in Eden Prairie before?
No, not here. No, and I don't think in North Carolina either. But it did take him a couple times to get his driver's license here.
Really? Yeah. Wait, you're telling me a NASCAR, he failed his driver's test a couple times?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you got to think on the third one.
Well, I suppose I could see how maybe he was going too fast or whatever, because he's got that drive and that passion in him. But hey, if you failed your driver's test out there, you could go on to still become a NASCAR driver.
Yeah.
The precedent's been set here.
Yeah, I think that driving with 2 feet and some other thing, he had to readapt, but he's fine. Yes. It was good.
Brandon, you're the president and CEO of Starkey. It's based right here in Eden Prairie. Starkey is Williams' #1 sponsor. Before we get into Starkey, how difficult was it for you to land that endorsement deal with your son? Did he have some other competitors that were at stake? And,
I mean, there was some that was asking if they could join or be a part of, and I still get it today. But really focusing on the sponsorship for what William's doing and working with Gibbs, but it's brought relationships and opportunities for Starkey and what we do with our sound gear products and overall education on hearing noise and hearing loss and noise, and what better place to educate people that at a NASCAR race where you get cars are going up to 130 dB, and so we work with them on their education program along with other opportunities that they provided.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. When you're at so many people are wearing the headphones because of the sound. It's so big. Obviously, all the drivers are doing that. So Starkey has a role within these NASCAR races to.
With the teams, we work with a lot of different teams in North Carolina. We're partnering. It'll be new this year. The CW starting on Saturday for every O'Reilly Auto Part series. Used to say Xfinity. It's so easier.
Yes.
We're going to be having check your sound gear or check your hearing and go to our sound gear app and website during the race. So they're going to do a cut into the live communications with the drivers. So we got some promos, and it's really opened doors for us here being in Minnesota company to explore new relationships and new business.
Sure. I know another partnership that Starkey has is with Special Olympics. Yes. Obviously, the USA Games are coming right here to Minneapolis this summer. William just signed on as an ambassador for the Special Olympics USA Games. Yeah. Why is that relationship for you and your son? Why are those so important for you all?
William, he's been around, obviously, with what Starkey does in the Starkey Hearing Foundation. We have our Starkey Cares program, and just giving hearing help to people that need it. And William's been around that and helped, and he was just in his off season here in Africa with the Starkey Hearing Foundation, helping people here. And with the Special Olympics, it's close to us because it is about giving back. And the U.S. Special Games being here, Special Olympics Games being here, we have to be there. And they asked, and it wasn't even a question really. It's what can we do to help? Yeah. And William is going to be helping with Starkey, but I know that Unreal, who he's an ambassador with and does a lot for them.
Good time with my polo.
I love their polos and equipment. He's going to be being an ambassador and supporting them, and he has a lot of fun with those guys.
It's great. It's great that Minnesota companies are supporting William.
Absolutely.
You mentioned that he was over in Africa helping people here. Can you talk to us about that experience, what William was doing?
He was in Zambia and Kenya with the Starkey Hearing Foundation. So, there's thousands or millions of people in Africa that don't have access to hearing healthcare. And so with the Starkey Hearing Foundation, they helped around 300, 400 people a day with Starkey products and just giving them their hearing back, connecting to their families. And it's that, that caring and that giving spirit that William's always had because of Starkey. I mean, that's who we are and what we try to do here in the community.
Yeah. That's amazing. You must just be so proud of him. How many events are you expecting for him to compete in that we could see here on Fox potentially this NASCAR season?
Yeah, he has a full season. He's going to do, I think it's 33 or so races. Closest one will be in Iowa, which I believe is in August. And he's going to do 3 truck races and 1 ARCA. So, and wherever he can race in other series, he's going to do it because he just wants that seat time and sharpen his skills.
Yeah, you mentioned one of the first races that you all attended was at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A big tradition at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is kissing the bricks. The winner gets to do that with his whole team and whatever. You have any dreams of kissing the bricks and having the milk and all of that? I know the milk. I don't know if that's so much NASCAR, but kissing the bricks is still the NASCAR.
I have a dream of him kissing it at one point, and this season he is dialed in. He's focused. He's proud to represent Minnesota. He wants to be the first Minnesota driver in NASCAR to win a NASCAR Series race.
There's never been a Minnesota-born driver to ever win a NASCAR race.
No.
I'm assuming because all the drivers, a lot of them are probably coming from the South, California, whatnot.
It's the Southwest, Southeast is where all the drivers and they all pull from. So not too many people from Minnesota. I think he's the only one.
That's amazing. Well, Minnesotans out there, if you love NASCAR, you're at the right place here on Fox 9 to watch NASCAR. And now you have a new favorite driver to root for, William Sawalich, his father, Brandon, the CEO and president of Starkey. Thank you so much for your time. Right here in our backyard in Eden Prairie, we really do appreciate you coming in studio. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We are going to have much more from the afternoon shift right after this. I think we're going to transition back to the Olympics. And keep in mind, we do have our eyes on the Whipple building. We are waiting for Representative Kelly Morrison to speak at any moment now. And when she does, we'll be sure to bring that to you. But in the meantime, we're going to go to commercial. When we come back, we'll have more afternoon shift. Welcome back here to the afternoon shift. We got our friend and colleague, Grace Henry, a producer here for just excellent bookings all day today, Grace.
Thank you so much. It's been a good show.
It has been a good show.
Yeah.
It has been a good show. We're keeping our eyes on a number of things, as you've seen out there in the booth. Representative Kelly Morrison is at the Whipple building. We got a camera there. We're waiting for her. And the Timberwolves are expected to introduce their new players that they got ahead of the trade deadline at the bottom of the hour at 4:30.
Yeah, and we saw the shot up in the control room. So we're just waiting on that. We never really know what time exactly these press conferences are going to happen. So we'll get those, right as they come up. Paul's on it. But yeah, we have a lot going on.
Keeping my eyes out everywhere. We, like I said, like Grace mentioned, we've got some shots coming in from the Whipple building. Kelly Morrison's still inside, we're assuming. She hasn't come out, so it means that she must be in there. That's the logic of it, I suppose. And then the Timberwolves, we are seeing that Timberwolf graphic up there, media wall ready to have this press conference. There is a gentleman, though, right in front of the shot with his head in the way, so hopefully he's gone by the time we get to the press conference, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, how difficult is that for the two of you when you got multiple things happening concurrently to kind of keep your eyes and ears on everything?
Well, Paul and I are a dream team, we make it work. There's lots of screens inside there and just lots of good communication. It helps to have one person in the booth that's actually manually doing it, and then the other person, as Paul likes to say, running interference.
Trying to run interference here because
I've never even heard these terms. I never heard the term interference.
You're protected in there in that nice cozy studio. It's what it is when things crop up though, and just like right now actually, because we get fed a certain amount of feeds coming in from all across the country, as well as the ones that we've got our eyes on, and you see red and blue lights going, and you immediately worry it's the worst case scenario, and it's going to be something again about ice. There was a shooting that looks like it's taken place in DC near Union Station, and so we're seeing some lights coming in on that there. We're not going to bring you those shots, but it is, you're kind of keeping your eye on a couple of different things, and you just have to hope that you don't drop the ball and miss it.
It's a major train station in DC there, so that's
keep an eye on that. I'm no doubt that'll be in the 5 o'clock news, so you'll get some updates on what's happening there with that.
For sure. I know we want to talk a little Olympics here right now.
Yeah, well, you and Paul have both worked at the Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. Which Olympics did you guys each work at?
Yeah, I was, Paul was earlier than me. You were at 2008 Beijing, yeah?
I was in 2008 at Beijing.
Yeah, and I was at 2012 London. So I was an intern for NBC way back in the day. It was my first internship,
What a sweet internship.
It was a sweet internship. It was a midnight to noon shift every day for 3 weeks. It was a lot, but I got to hang out with Bob Costas a ton there. I would run scripts for him.
That's crazy.
And so that was cool. Mary Carrillo, who's going to be part of the opening ceremony coverage, her and I would get lunch together at 3 a.m. or whatever it was, because you're working on New York time when you're in London. I think it's like 5 hours behind or whatever.
Yeah.
So midnight there was 7 p.m. That was prime time.
Wow.
So it was an interesting job.
That is
sure.
interesting. And were you an intern too, Paul?
I was an intern too, yeah. So I interned as a camera operator at the Olympics. And
I never knew that.
Yeah. So I interned as a camera operator, and I was working in a non-rights broadcasters building. So I'm not sure if people know this, but
you weren't in the IBC.
I wasn't in the IBC. Yeah. So when you go to an Olympics, there are the rights broadcasters and there's the non-rights broadcasters. The rights broadcasters are the people that get the footage that's sent back that goes around the entire world. That Olympics footage that goes to NBC. In Australia, it goes to the 7 network, and all your different countries, they get the same feed and they decide which bit they're going to show to the people in their country. Kelly Morrison is coming up to the podium, so I'm just going to take us out to that. Give me 2 seconds.
Yes.
We're expecting to hear
right and congressional duty to conduct oversight here at Whipple. This is the 3rd time that I've been here. I was denied entrance the first time. I came here last night and I wanted to return today with my colleagues. They were denied entrance. But I wanted to be able to follow up on some questions and have a contrast from what I saw last night. The problem remains that Whipple is considered a holding facility. It is not considered a detention facility. So the typical rules and regulations that apply to a detention facility do not apply here at Whipple. It is further evidence that Operation Metro Surge is a misguided and cruel campaign. ICE and CBP need to cease this operation and allow Minnesota, our people and our communities to heal, because it's going to take a long time to recover from what has happened to our people and our community.
Can you give us a laundry list of what you're seeing today?
You know, I'm seeing a lot of people in leg shackles. There is a nurse on site today. I did learn that they have hours from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. There aren't posted medical protocols. I'm told that people are not subject to a complete history and physical exam, for example, until they are in a detention center in Texas. Flights are going out several times a day to Texas, to New Orleans. In some cases, if there's a final removal order, to their country of origin, and third country deportations are still occurring as well. People are sleeping on concrete floors. They don't have real blankets. They have those kind of tin foil temporary blankets. It's a very disheartening scene, and I think it's beneath what we should expect in the United States of America.
How much?
It appeared to be, they had a number on a board of 37. It appeared to be around 40. Around.
Talk to anyone?
They did not allow me to speak with any of the detainees today.
Can you give us a kind of a layout inside as a holding facility? I mean, how many different rooms are there? How big of an area? I mean,
It's not a very large area. There are two larger holding cells that I have been told were designed to hold a maximum of 30 people. We've all heard reports that there have been times when there have been many more than that. There are some smaller rooms, about half the size of those. There are a couple of those, and then there are several single stall rooms. There is a community toilet in the middle of the bigger rooms that has kind of a wall that comes up to about here on people. So there is no real privacy to speak of. It's very dehumanizing. Everyone is in leg
shackles.
Thank you. Everyone is wearing leg shackles for reasons that aren't clear to me, because there's nowhere really to run. It feels like part of the dehumanization of this experience for people.
What are your thoughts on your colleagues not being allowed access here?
Well, I think Representative McCollum had a pretty compelling case to be made that the dollars actually would mean that she and Angie Craig should have been granted access. But I did join the lawsuit. I joined 12 members of the House in the lawsuit that a temporary restraining order was issued on Monday to allow us to do unannounced visits. Apparently it just applies to the 13 plaintiffs right now. But clearly Representatives Craig and McCollum should be allowed entry to conduct oversight as well as part of their congressional duties. Absolutely. I've been calling on my Republican colleagues all year long to finally stand up to this administration and stop this nonsense. This is madness. It is hurting people. It's hurting our country. It's bad for everyone. What I will say, though, is I'm really proud of Minnesota. Minnesotans have stood up in a very inspiring way. Minnesotans have a deep connectedness, deep civic engagement, and people are standing up for their neighbors and standing together saying this is not the community in the country that we want.
So what is it that you will do with your visit last night, what you saw today? I mean, what does this give you to inform next steps? What happens?
Yeah, well, I will continue to perform congressional oversight. I will continue to share what I saw. And we need reforms. We need a huge reimagining of this entire immigration policy of this administration. It is wrong-headed, immoral, inhumane. Sorry, go ahead. People are very dejected. It's horrifying to be present in that place. People have leg shackles on. They are lying on concrete floors, or they're huddled on short benches together. They universally look dejected in many cases, desperate in other cases, and tearful. Yeah.
Just touching, I've spoken with U.S. citizens who were detained for 10 or 12 hours in the Middle East, and they describe it there as extremely chaotic, not a lot of order, not a lot of coordination, officers not really knowing what to do. Do you see that?
I wouldn't say that it was chaotic today, but there was a long delay from when they knew that we were here and when we were actually allowed in. So this was an unannounced visit with almost an hour of notice for things to kind of get buttoned down. So I don't know, but I've heard those same things from American citizens who have been detained here. I've had several constituents describe that same experience.
Second question for you. You already expressed concern online about the measles outbreaks and patients going back and forth from the facility. Can you elaborate more on that for us?
Yeah, well, as we all know, there is a big measles outbreak at the Dilley facility in Texas, and we know, and they're downstairs right now, there are 2 people who were brought back from Texas today. I don't know from where, but I did ask, what is the policy, what is the protocol to prevent measles, which is one of the most infectious, contagious infectious diseases that exists. They couldn't answer because, again, this is not a detention facility, so there aren't elaborate medical protocols here. They said that would happen in Texas.
Were you able to find out if they have access to medications?
That is about the only medical screening that is done, I think. People are asked if they are taking a medication, and then their family members can bring it here to them. Of course, for some people, there may be risk in coming to Whipple to bring. So I'm learning that our office, for example, and other congressional offices can assist families by having our staff or our team bring papers, medications, whatever people may need directly to Whipple.
Congressional colleagues have said that they will vote to withhold funding to ICE unless some reforms are done here. Would you be interested in doing that same kind of thing? Or?
It would have to be pretty dramatic reform for me to vote for a bill for the Department of Homeland Security, given the situation right now. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
This is your 3rd visit inside, right? Yeah. There was one time tonight, and then you went in, was it Monday?
I went in Saturday.
Saturday. Anything different
in the game? That's what I would say.
And Julian, I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah, for me, just try to do the little things out there, go in the game and kind of see what the game needs and try to fit my way into it that way. Try to be versatile on both ends, defense, kind of switching matchups, guarding different positions. Offensively, just, playing in space, knocking down shots when I'm open, and trying to do those type of things.
And I would be curious to hear your thoughts from both of you on the opportunity to play with your newest teammate, Anthony Edwards, and maybe just a little bit about what you have thought about his game as going up against him and now being his teammate.
Yeah, I'm excited. Just my whole life, every time, I play with, better players, him being a all-NBA talent and, taking the T-Wolves to where he took him these last couple seasons. My game has always elevated, so I'm excited to just be there because he's a competitor, I'm a competitor, and I know that's going to rub off on each other for the positives. So I'm excited. Just know his game. I know him as being a competitor, being a fierce competitor, and I never shy away from the moment. Always going 110%. And if you love basketball, that's something that you always want to see. Kind of similar to him. You see kind of the impact he has on the game, and as a player, as a basketball player, you want to play with other good players as well. So playing with a guy his caliber, I think that just brings the best out of everybody else. He's a competitor, so it's going to rise the talent level of the team. So we're definitely excited for it.
Hey guys, John Krasinski from The Athletic here. Just wanted to see if you both could just take us through the process of the trade the day of, like what the emotions were like, how you found out about it, and what you thought about moving from Chicago here to Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely. So for both of us, well, I could speak for myself. We were in Toronto. We were heading to shoot around, and I was listening to music. I'm listening to music. My phone on game days, my phone normally on Do Not Disturb. My phone's on D&D, so no call got through. I'm going to shoot around. I had just talked to my agent the night before. I pretty much told him, like, yeah, let me know before I go to sleep tonight if anything going on. He was like, yeah, I don't hear anything. I'm like, all right, bet, I'm going to hit you in the morning. So I was planning on calling him right after shoot-around. And then I talked to my previous coach, Coach Donovan. He said, are you playing today? And I was like, I'm not sure yet. And then probably like 3 minutes later, my phone was blowing up. My girl had called me, and she never calls me on game day, so I knew it was something. And then, she called me, and then I could just tell from then the news had broke around the bus. So, I just embraced the moment. I answered the phone. Then my dad called me, my agent called me, and then it was out there. So, yeah.
Yeah, kind of similar story. Probably was a few seats back from him. I was drinking my breakfast smoothie I just got on the way to shoot around. I guess the news had broke a little bit on the internet. I had a teammate kind of show me something that was sitting next to me. Then probably like a few seconds after that, my agent called me. He told the news to me. I got another call from the GM. He kind of explained it to me as well. And then I kind of just went from there after shoot around. We just, got to hug the guys that were still there with us. Then we headed back to the hotel.
You're a Chicago guy through and through. Been there, your whole life pretty much. Like, what's your emotions leaving the city and that organization, and then what do you feel like how you fit in here with the Timberwolves?
Definitely. So me being from Chicago, of course, I wanted to make sure I embraced all of my feelings. I didn't want to bottle up anything. I think when you do that, that's not the right way to go about things. So right away, I was in a room. Got my journal down. I was just writing how I was feeling, embracing that. And then as hours went on, I was able to understand it and be like, yes, this is a great opportunity for me. I'm excited to be here with the Timberwolves, playoff team, a lot of great guys on the team, great coaching staff, great management, and I'm just excited to help, get over that hump, whatever it takes to help win and embrace winning. Chicago, I had a great time there. I learned a lot there. It was great. Of course, I went to Illinois also, so I pretty much was there my whole career, basketball career. So I'm excited to step away from that and really tap into some more of my full potential, and I think I have a great opportunity here with the T-Wolves. I'm very ecstatic for the opportunity, and I can't wait to get the ball rolling.
Chris Hine from the Minnesota Star-Tribune. For both of you, we'll start with Io. How do you kind of just from afar, watching the Wolves play, what you've seen them playing against them this year, how do you see your games kind of meshing with this team and kind of how you see your role going forward?
Yeah, just pretty much just playing my game. I think that's the best way that I can be is just be myself. I think that's the main thing I'm going to try to continue to do is just play my game. I think I play the game the right way. I'm pretty efficient, and I think that'll help me, and I think that'll help the team overall. Going out there, pushing the pace. I can rebound. I can push it. I can outlet. Also being elite on the defensive end, on pick up point, just doing things like that, making open shots, getting downhill, putting pressure on the rim, creating open shots for my teammates. That's what I'm going to focus on.
Yeah, I think watching it, a really hard-nosed team that plays the game the right way. I think for me, just doing what I'm able to do with being able to pressure the ball on defense, bringing like my versatility on both ends, and just doing things the right way, trying to go about it the right way, I think it'll mesh real well.
You said like becoming the best version of yourself or reaching your potential. What do you think that looks like for you?
Oh, definitely. I think it looks like me being a even better defender. I think I can start off there. I think I showcased it some in Chicago, but I don't think I showcased my full potential. I think I have definitely a lot more potential to be there and really becoming an elite two-way player, two-way guard in this league. That's my goal. And, of course, it's going to be a blessing playing with the great defenders on this team. I think pretty much everybody on this team is pretty solid at the end. They try. Got two, if I'm not mistaken, two all defensive players on this team, in McDaniels and Rudy. So playing with those guys, that I think that's going to help elevate me, and I'm excited. I'm excited on that end for sure. And then offensively, playing with another super elite guard, super elite forward, and Julius. You got Nas who can shoot it very well. Got a lot of great players, and they send it to it, and I'm able to, use my speed, play off closeouts, get downhill, make open shots, and I think that's going to translate great.
Io, do you guys had so many guards in Chicago, it was most of your roster, it seemed like some nights. Are you comfortable playing kind of a positionless guard, point, wing at the same time? Does it matter to you how you attack? Do you have to have a point guard with you to be good, or play the point some? How do you feel philosophically? Because you guys did a lot of different interesting sets with guards in Chicago.
For sure. That's a great question. And I think I'm prepared for anything, And nowadays, today's basketball, you see, it's very positionless. You pretty much put the best players out there, and I think I can adapt in any situation. Coming out of college, I play on the ball a lot. My last season in college, I actually won the Bob Cousy Award. So the playmaking ability is there. Then, of course, I came to the NBA, and we had a different situation I had to adapt to be able to get on the court and compete, and I did that. And then my sophomore year in the NBA, I played on the ball. Then my fourth year, I played out the ball. So pretty much I can adapt and do both, do whatever it takes to help the team win. That's what I take pride in, just being a player out there where you can trust me to make plays, make decisions, and also play off of closeouts, whatever it takes to be effective on that end of the court.
Julian, I just wanted to ask you about maybe some of your conversations you've had with the coaching staff. I know you haven't been here long, but the coaching staff of the front office, just kind of about what they see in you and what this opportunity could look like for you. What have those conversations kind of been like?
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to speak with everyone, but from the brief conversations that I have, they kind of just gave me the rundown of what they do and what their schemes look like, both on offense and defense. And they know my game. They've watched, what I'm able to do. So, just telling me that I'm able to fit in, and it's not something that you got to think too hard on. It's not too complicated to try to fit in and do. Talked about how the guys were, very open with helping everybody, especially new guys, to adapt into everything. So all the conversations with them went really well.
They had some communication with you at the draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had a pick around there with them. Do you have connections kind of from then too? Do you remember? I don't know if you came here for a workout, but did you meet Tim in the front office at all?
I interviewed with them. Okay. Yeah, I did. I interviewed with them, and it went really good. Draft night came. It was kind of back and forth. Maybe I could have came here, couldn't have. Ended up not, but definitely happy to be here now.
Io and Julian, we've spent a lot of time talking about your fit on the basketball court, but for Wolves fans, what's maybe one or two things outside of basketball that they should know about you? Io, if we could start with you.
One thing I would say is I like to, the main thing I would say in the summertime, I like to give back to the community. I was mostly in Chicago a lot, but, hopefully if I'm here, long term, that's one thing that I take pride in, not just the basketball court, but actually being able to invest in the community, help the community in any way I can. And I think that'd be something that I would be excited about doing because I really don't know too much about the community. So actually educating myself to learn about the community and then find ways where I can, pour into the community. That's something I take pride in. And besides that, I just love the game of basketball. Watch it all the time. NBA app, just watching different games. So those two things for me.
Yeah, off the court, I'm a real relaxed guy. I do things in the community as well, kind of similar to him back home in South Carolina. I spend most of my time kind of watching basketball too, listening to music. I like going outside, things like that. So just excited kind of to see and get acclimated to Minneapolis.
Io, you mentioned being around guys that might help elevate your game and take it to another level as well. But what about playing for a team that has title aspirations and the intensity of playing on a team that is likely going to be in the playoffs and try to make a deep playoff run. How does that elevate your intensity as well to be in a situation like that now for you?
Definitely. If I had to say the first thing that came to my mind when the trade went down, that was probably the first thing that I had to sit and process, and I was very excited about. You can't take it for granted. The Western Conference is a hell of a conference, but like you stated, the aspirations are there, and that was one of the things that when I talked to Tim, we talked about those aspirations and taking that next step. And as a competitor, it's nothing more you can ask for to put yourself in a position to be able to play meaningful basketball. I haven't played it since my rookie year, so actually I came into the NBA spoiled, made the playoffs, and then have not been back since. So definitely that's always been a goal of mine. That's a goal that I wrote down before the season started. That by the grace of God, I'll be playing the playoff this year. So God had His plans for me. Now I'm here, so I'm excited, and I'm just excited to work.
You're just hearing the first words as new members of the Timberwolves from Ayo Dosunmu and Julian Phillips. Both new Timberwolves acquired before the NBA trade deadline, which expired yesterday. Here they are with their brand new Timberwolves jerseys and numbers. Ayo is going to wear number 13, and Julian is going to wear number 4. Grace talking about community work that they do and what it was like on when they got traded and the feelings and the emotions that they had moving from Chicago to here.
I don't know much about the NBA, but the fact that they don't have a lot of say into where they go or if they're traded, I wish them the best. I hope that they're a great addition to the Timberwolves, and I think people will be interested to see how well they play over the next week or so.
Yeah, had to be emotional there for Ayo. He was touching on the fact that he was born and raised in Chicago, went to the University of Illinois just about an hour and a half south, Champaign, Illinois, south of Chicago there. He spent his whole life in the state of Illinois, and now he's being still in the same region, but kind of in a different place. It's got to be a little bit jarring for you.
Yeah. I mean, we're just like Chicago, though. we're just as good as Chicago, but it must be jarring, but. Yeah, I mean, that's what you sign up for when you're in the NBA, I guess. Right. So
that's right.
But it's so, the nature of the show is so interesting. We kind of go between all these different topics, and right before the Timberwolves segment, we heard from, of course, Representative Kelly Morrison, and just to kind of, go over some of the things that she talked about. She was inside the Whipple building. She said it was a holding center, not an ICE detention center, and she said she saw people in there sleeping on concrete floors. They were shackled. There was one community toilet in the center of the room where a kind of a lower partition was. The spaces are meant for 30 people, but oftentimes there's more than 30 people, and she just said how inhumane it all looks, and it sounded, quite anecdotally, it sounded quite inhumane to hear what she had seen inside of the building.
Yeah, you talk about sleeping on the concrete floors. She also mentioned a sort of a fake blanket that the detainees had, and
the blankets, those emergency blankets that you would have, say, if you got hypothermia, that those sort of crinkly foil blankets to put around you. I think the thing that's really, really quite hard to process. Sorry to interrupt, Adam, but the thing that I'm just trying to process with all of this right now is, some of these people are well and truly within their rights to be here in Minnesota. There's no question that there are people that are currently in there right now that are not illegal immigrants, that have gone through the right path towards permanent residency or refugee status, or on their path to citizenship. We don't even know if there are people in there that are maybe citizens that are also being detained inside that particular part of that building that Kelly's talking about. But these are conditions that you wouldn't want necessarily people who are guilty of those things to be in, let alone people who are innocent having to deal with this as well. It is just horrific to hear that sort of immoral behavior is taking place inside that building.
Yeah, and her background is as an OBGYN, so she is a physician, of course, so I'm sure she's able to she was also talking about their access to medical care and all of that, and saying that there was a nurse, I believe, on staff from, 8 to 10 p.m., but there's no clear posting as to what the protocol was in terms of helping people get the medical care that they needed. And yeah, I mean, just it's a scary thing. It'd be a scary place to be, and a place where, I mean, I wouldn't want to go. I wouldn't want to be held there by any means. So
100%. And to provide some more context here, Kelly Morrison was one of 3 DFL U.S. reps that showed up at the Whipple building today.
Yep.
She was the only one allowed inside. Representative Angie Craig, Representative Betty McCollum. Neither one of them was allowed inside. They all were inside a waiting room, they said, for about 40 minutes. And then and then to be fair, Angie Craig, they said that the people in there weren't the ones responsible. They made a call, and somebody told them that only Kelly could go in. And so that, to me, was also pretty fascinating that we saw happen live right here on the afternoon shift today.
Yeah, exactly. And Kelly Morrison, represents the district that we are in right now, the Eden Prairie's in, the area west of Minneapolis. It's I know maybe one day, maybe soon we'll be able to have her on the show to kind of dive a little bit deeper into, what she saw. And especially, I think it's very fascinating to hear it from a physician. And, and there were other, I forgot which senator said, or which representative said, excuse me, but someone was not allowed insulin, and I am a type 1 diabetic myself, and that would be such a scary thing. Like, whether or not, again, they are a criminal or here illegally per se, I mean, to not get access to your medications, that would be absolutely terrifying.
What would happen if you didn't have access to insulin?
I mean, I could go into a coma. I would become very, 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 very sick very, very fast. So I feel for the people in there. I mean, that's just, I can't imagine being in that situation. So I would really, it's just very, very scary.
Yeah, and we talk about the insulin there. I just think about the number of people that have prescription medication that they also rely on, probably not having proper access to that there's that one nurse that's there for a lot of different people. Pretty wild stuff. And I think, Paul, you mentioned this when we first got into it, the Whipple building, not a building that I never heard of that building before. It's a pretty discreet building next to MSP Airport, but now it's become kind of the cornerstone of a lot of these protests that have been happening.
Well, it was really fortunate timing for us as well to have Mark Bryant attorney, who could kind of help us understand some things. I thought it was interesting that he made the point that, just to get ahead of this argument that I'm sure that we will be hearing as well, is that, people showing up and being demanding to look around and have a see the building. His point was that it is within their rights to see their constituents. They actually, they are not meant to be held back from being able to see their constituents. So I think that's a really interesting thing as we get into this. I'm just taking a quick look at the time. Let's take a really quick breather, resettle our thoughts, and then come back and just round out the rest of the episode.
Sounds good. You want to throw it to break, Grace?
Yeah, more afternoon shift coming up right after this break.
the musical performances, in addition to Bad Bunny that we're going to see on Sunday at Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, and you said you've heard of none of them?
I've heard of none of them. I've heard of none of these people. Who's doing the national anthem?
Charlie Puth. Paul, you know who Charlie Puth is?
Never heard of this guy.
Of course I know who
course
Charlie
you do.
Puth is. Charlie Puth had a real moment. What was the song? What was his big song that came out? Was it with Meghan Trainor? Was that his sort of launch?
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but I know he has one with Selena Gomez, and we were talking about Selena Gomez earlier today.
Yes,
so.
and he does a lot of cool stuff. I think you would appreciate it, Adam. He does a lot of stuff where he like records a little sound and then loops it and plays it.
he's
He's
pretty
very
cool.
clever, and I think he has perfect pitch.
He does. He has perfect pitch, and you
Do you
can
know what
hear
that means,
it.
Adam?
His voice is like immaculate or something? Or?
Yeah, it's like his ear. He's able to actually hear a sound and tell you what note it is.
I looked at it. He's from New Jersey. Whatever happened to getting local guy? Whatever happened to getting somebody from SF? It's a great music scene out there.
Well, Green Day is doing the opening ceremony for the Super Bowl, and I believe they're from San Francisco.
Okay, all right,
I believe
all right,
so. I
all
think they're from California.
Okay.
And also, Brandi Carlile will be singing America the Beautiful.
Brandi Carlile could walk in this studio right now.
She's cool. She's cool. You don't know?
Adam, I don't know her.
Oh.
I've heard the name, but yeah, I'm.
She's like country adjacent. She's pretty. Yeah, she's very cool. I mean, I think she's a distinctive look and sound. So I think you either like her or you don't. But I like her, so it's worth. You should. You'll hear her this weekend.
You know what song I'd love for them to sing is "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." Tony Bennett. Now that's a ballad. That's a great song.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Tony
Lady
Bennett.
Gaga. I know him and Lady Gaga were friends. She could have come. Maybe she'll do it during the halftime performance. Yeah, because that's what. Yeah, it was actually I saw like a bet placed on it that Lady Gaga might come out with Bad Bunny.
Okay, all right, that could happen. We'll see. We got 20 seconds left here on this Friday episode on the afternoon shift.
Say a name. Say the Seahawks. They're gonna win.
Oh, Seahawks. I go Seahawks.
I got the Patriots. The Patriots. We'll break it all down on Monday. It's been fun, Grace and Paul.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
The 5 o'clock news starts right now. All right.
This is Fox 9 News at 5.
Hi there, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here at 5 o'clock. My name is Tim Blotz. We've got a lot happening, so let's get after it, shall we? Minnesota Congresswomen make a visit to the Whipple Federal Building, all in an effort to get a look at the conditions inside. But not all of them did make it inside. Rob Olson's going to have that story. Also, the Hennepin County Sheriff now speaks out about how counties work with ICE. Our Maury Glover sat down with her this afternoon. And an audit shows more than $1 billion in Medicaid funding is vulnerable to fraud. Our Corin Hoggard is digging into that one for us. Plus, a familiar face returns to the Timberwolves as we meet the team's newest members. Our Pierre Nugent is going to join us live from Target Center. But first, though, let's start with our meteorologist, Sean McAday, and your weather on the nines. I'll take another one like this.
It was a great day.
Yeah, it was.
Temperatures below freezing, but come on, the sunshine, look at it. It's getting sunny later as we work through February. You're going to really start to notice the days are starting to get longer. And boy, was there a lot of that sunshine.